What's up, everybody? Welcome to
Hey, hey,
Week's
hey.
End.
All right. Finally, it's Super Thanks Friday.
Super thanks.
So,
All right,
folks, you may
so
have noticed, you
let's
may
get
have
into
noticed,
it.
you want to get into it? You want me to get into it? We
Let's
didn't
get
really
into it.
rehearse.
Let's
All right,
get
I'll get
into
into
it.
it. Folks, you may have noticed that each day this week we gave thanks for a different thing. Today was friendship. We also did video games and music and movies and all kinds of stuff. We're going to talk about another movie today. But why did we do it this week? Well, we know last week was Thanksgiving. And during the Thanksgiving week, you give more thanks for, you know, all sorts of things, right? Friends and family and vaccines and stuff that isn't quite nerd specific. Well, this week we wanted to get a little more nerd specific. So we thought it was a little more appropriate to wait to the week after. But also Ryan had some homework. We needed to give Ryan time to go see a specific movie we're going to talk about that I have just been incredibly fired up about, and I'm really excited. We're going to
Spoiler
talk
alert.
about that today. Spoiler alert, we're going to talk a little bit about Ghostbusters Afterlife a little later today. Oh, look, my children are home. So today we want to finish off Week's End Super Thanks here on Super Thanks Friday, aka episode 66, by giving thanks for, I should say,
Yeah,
all of you, our week
all
senders.
of you. All of you.
So
We
so
love
the
you.
the we do the tens of people that have viewed this show for however many years that now it feels like we've been doing it. Even if you've ever just clued in for a minute or clued in for an episode or clued in time and time again, tuned in, we really appreciate it. So thanks. We've done this a little bit for our own sanity, I think you'd agree, and to
Yep.
keep our skills fresh, but also to have a little bit of fun and get out there and share some nerdy bits of useless knowledge. And some of you have joined in that fun, and we really appreciate that. So thank you. And thank you, Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we want to give a special shout out to one of our viewers slash previous guests, actually, that submitted a video with the hashtag
Yes.
60 second of thanks. So I'm going to flash that up on the screen really
All
quick.
right, let's
But
do that.
we had Allie.
Allie.
We're not going to play the whole video right now, but I think Allie might be the biggest super fan of a band outside of me with my obsession with the Avett Brothers. But she is super obsessed with Bush,
Yeah.
and she has a signed guitar on the wall. She Go watch her video. It's super cool. I
It
love hearing
it's a
these
healthy
stories of how
obsession,
people. Yeah, it's a healthy obsession, but I
I
love
would say.
hearing the stories of how people discover bands. And she did it by in middle school or high school, discovering it through a cassette, just like we did back in the 80s, right?
Love that.
Really cool. So
Very cool.
let's get into kind of a lightning round of some more super thanks. What do you think, Graham?
I think we should do it. Let's get into it. Lightning round, super
Lightning round.
thanks. Lightning round, super thanks. All right, I'm going to stop singing now because nobody wants to hear that.
All right. The first
Nobody
thing,
wants
I'm
to
going
hear
to go first. First thing that I am super thankful for today is my father's pancakes. This tweet and on Facebook, it got a ton of attention. We had Moravian sugar bread, we had biscuits, we had bacon, we had country
Wow.
ham. But the number one thing, and my kids will attest to this, is my father has this basic pancake recipe that isn't he like read it on the side of a jar or something, or on the on the bag of flour, but no one can replicate the magic that he puts in here.
Oh
I've
man, I love
tried.
that. Is that Dad's hands right
Yeah,
there? I love it.
this is
That's
him the
awesome.
day after Thanksgiving.
You go,
So
Rab Dad.
right before we did that. So yep, that's what I'm super thankful for.
Hashtag Rab Dad.
That is right. All right, let's
Love
talk
it.
about this video clip real
Whoa.
quick.
So one of the things that I've come to really, really enjoy is fan creations, fan videos, fan films, fan art. I've seen a lot of it. If you have not seen this particular one yet, I don't know if the sound will play through our system here or not, but if it doesn't, you have got to see this. It is so fantastic. Honestly, I'm surprised it only has 135,000 views. I thought it would have millions at this point. It's a remix to some music. It's incredibly well done, fast paced, as you can see. We'll make sure that we share the link to that. I don't know if you can hear it, Ryan, but I can't. But definitely, if you get a chance, make a point of going out and watching this particular fan art. And when you watch fan art, this is the big trick, right? I mean, when you watch a fan film or you view fan art, give that artist a shout out, right? Don't just move it along. Make sure that you make a point of saying thank you to those people. I was actually able to engage with the individual Kay that made this, and let her know what an awesome job I think she did, and it's really fantastic. So I'm really thankful for fan art. That's my next thing. And
And I think,
P.S. If you
yeah.
have one you want to share
Oh
it with
yeah.
us. We'd love
Please,
to see
please,
it.
please. We love
We'd
it.
love to see it.
All right, we're gonna go next. I'm very thankful for Weird Al Yankovic, and
Oh,
I will
yeah.
tell you, it's because of his skills with reaching inbox zero, while hanging out with apparently the Baby Grogu float, which was the hit of this year's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, of course. So, thanks, Al. I'm really thankful for you, and I
I
do
just
aspire. I aspire to be as nerdy and cool as Weird Al one day. I don't know if I'm gonna
I
be.
do too, dude. And he's been such a big part of our lives for so long. I mean, going back to so many of those videos on MTV, right? And he's just so kooky and fun. I love the guy. I also
Yeah.
love how deadpan he can be. Like, look at this image. I mean, that is so perfect.
It is.
So yeah,
And
I
I will
love it.
tell
I
you, I
love
will
it.
tell you another trivia point is like my first byline on my very first blog, like the header was, fluent in JavaScript and Klingon from his classic White and Nerdy.
I love it. I love it.
All right. Tell me about this. Why are you
Well,
thankful?
here's another piece of fan art. And this one made me really happy because all I did was share it. And you can see I gave a shout out to the artist, Jace Ridley, there. But it got reshared, almost 300 more times, retweeted 49 times, or liked, I should say, almost 300 times. And to me, that's like mission accomplished for me. So when I find something awesome, and this is a beautiful, beautiful, piece of art, right? This illustration, this painting. The Enterprise A is my favorite of all the starships. I have many reasons that are extremely nerdy that if anyone ever would like to debate that with me, that's no problem. I'll take you on. But the point is I was really happy to see this piece of fan art get shared beyond. It had just kind of lived on DeviantArt and sort of been lost to time. And I found it and shared it and was really excited to see it breathe some new life into it and people really giving shout outs for it. So not only should you share your fan art with us, you should share it with the world and thank the artist. So really, this one was really awesome. Super thanks to Jace Ridley.
Heck yeah. All right. I'm going to show you another thing from the parade. I am super thankful for Funko Pop creating this awesome balloon for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. So
you
much
have a
so that
fever, and the keyword is more Grogu.
I was forced to make my own little fan clip art, little film clip thingy.
Oh yes, forced. I'm sure.
I had no choice. I was compelled by the dark
clearly,
side.
Clearly.
All right. Next up, we have apparently Atari hard drives. What?
Yeah. So, man, I'm really thankful for this thread. This is another thing that kind of took off and really had a lot of fun with it. So, I just put this message up. Show me your first disk drive, right? Whether it's the actual one that you had or a photo of one, right? And that's mine there. That's my Atari 1050. That's the first disk drive when I learned about storage media for data, right, on floppies. That's it. That's the first one I ever used. And what was really cool is everybody started coming back with that's Tony. You gotta cope with it, right? But everybody started sharing their disk drives, and I got a chance to kind of reply to all of them with, I love hitting back with gifts, right? And so it was, there you go, there's you right there.
Yeah,
so it was, and I don't know, but a lot of Commodores, which I thought was really cool, and just a lot of really cool stuff. So
a lot of Commodores, wow.
A lot of Commodore. There's a 1050.
Wait, here's an Atari guy for you.
There's a 1050. So there's a lot of really cool stuff in here. A lot of people making jokes about unsolicited disc pics, which was like, okay, dudes, we get it. But a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So like for people who joined in the fun with
Amiga,
this thread,
I love the Amiga. My uncle had an Amiga, and my other uncle had a Tandy, so we were like all in competition for who gets.
Damn, dude, that's cool.
Yeah. So we got pixel art too, which I think this is one we can share because we both are very thankful for 8-bit art and pixel art. But why did you pick this one in particular?
Well, I'll tell you why. I did some cleaning on my Twitter feed recently. I do a lot to restrict, block, mute. I mean, I really try to keep a really clean, very sort of interest focused Twitter feed, right? But lately I've started playing more with topics. I went through and kind of cleared them out and got them back on, because over a while, if you don't pay attention, you kind of get auto assigned, or you did at one point. I don't know if they still do that. And so recently I added a new one to that, which was pixel art. And man, I have seen the coolest stuff coming through my feed every day. I mean, this one is just one out of many examples of these beautiful pixel art, examples of pixel art that people are creating around the world. And you can see they're wildly popular. I mean, I'm talking about some thread of mine getting 300 likes. This one's got 2,500, right? So definitely highly recommend pixel art. And I'm really thankful for those artists, because like, this takes time. This is not something you just bust into and become an expert at. So now I have desktop wallpapers that are pixel art. I shared my latest on my Twitter feed yesterday, folks, if you want to see those. They're pretty cool examples. Unfortunately, for those examples, I was not aware of who the artists were, so I couldn't thank them. If anybody can help me find those artists, I'd appreciate that. But I would love to see your examples of pixel art, really into it. And if you know any cool pixel artists on Twitter I should follow, absolutely let me know, because I'll be there.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing I think about a lot of these is that there's sort of in some of them, there's like a forced perspective that you get. And then there's some of them have such depth with the way they use shading that it is truly like what folks would use in real paintings, which I think is just fantastic.
Yes. Yeah. It's really, really, really cool. I love it. So very thankful for pixel art.
We have one more thanks post, and then we're going to get into the main event. So tell me why you're thankful for this documentary.
Yeah, this was really moving. So if you have not seen Becoming Cousteau on Disney Plus, I want to really recommend that you do that. Now, if you're a Gen Xer like me, you grew up hearing a lot about Cousteau, or you had the books in your house, or, Cousteau was kind of this like super celebrity, science celebrity when we were growing up. But wow, there's a lot to his story, a lot of invention and innovation and tragedy and love and all these wonderful things around Jacques Cousteau that I did not know about. And I want to really highly it's better than that Beatles bullshit. So this Becoming Cousteau is really, really good. Whoa. No, I'm right about that. Becoming Cousteau is really good. But here's the catch. If you are a fan of Wes Anderson films like I am, and you are a fan of The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, you will not believe how much of that movie, even down to some pretty obscure details, were taken from the life of Jacques Cousteau. Now, I know when you watch it, it's obvious. And in fact, at one point, they even mentioned Cousteau when he talks about putting pipe and music in. But I couldn't believe that how much of it Wes Anderson was really inspired by Jacques Cousteau's life. And so if you get a chance, check out Becoming Cousteau on Disney Plus. It's just fantastic.
That's awesome. Well, you know what? There's one more thing that I'm thankful for before we get into talking about Ghostbusters, and that is I'm really thankful for Alamo Drafthouse. So we talked about the power of like returning to theaters after this crazy couple of years, and I've been back to Alamo, I guess, a couple of times, maybe 3 times.
It's good to be back.
It's good to be back, man. I ate way too much bad food and beer and stuff last night watching Ghostbusters Afterlife. But one of the coolest things about it is their lobby. They have in their lobby, they call it the Video Vortex, and they have these huge tables that you can socialize that are made literally like a giant cassette. It looks literally like a giant cassette. And
really,
it has a screen. You know where the label normally is in the middle of a VHS cassette?
Yeah.
That's a TV. And you can slide a real VHS into the side of this table, and the whole table becomes like a movie. And they have a bunch of VHSs for you to pop in or rent and take home with you, amazingly enough. So I popped in reindeer.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. I popped in reindeer games last night because it was a bit of a eclectic collection there. But it got me thinking, like we talked about what our like obscure horror movies we watched in October on the show. And I love talking about like obscure or non-traditional holiday movies.
Yeah.
I think we'll talk about that on a future show, but
sure. Cause I made the point last week that Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country is a Thanksgiving movie.
Right. Right.
It's clearly a Thanksgiving movie, both in its content and its storyline, and the fact that, guess who's coming to dinner when the Klingons come aboard and have dinner, and Chancellor Gorkon is like, well, I see we have a long way to go, and then they just kill him. So, yeah, I love obscure, non sort of specific holiday films. I really do.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's get into the main event. What do you say?
Let's do it. I think we should.
All right. So I think you saw Ghostbusters Afterlife on opening night, right?
I did.
So,
I
all right,
did.
it's fresh in my brain. I just saw it last night. I also wanted to say, like, before we even talk about the film, watching something on the big screen, like, I love home theater. I love like curling up with,
Yeah.
your family and friends at home, but like
Yep.
seeing the trailers even on the big screen, like there was the Spider-Man trailer, the Matrix trailer,
Yes.
couple other things. Seeing those on the big screen in HD, I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt the same way. We have this place called O'Neill Cinemas near here. I don't know if you have it down there in weird state wherever you live, but we have this thing called it's called the Grand DLX. So it's this massive, huge screen with incredible sound, and the chairs go back, and you get the food and the drinks and all that. Yep. And so we went and saw Ghostbusters Afterlife there. I went in having very high hopes. I really did, and because I believe in Jason Reitman. And folks, spoiler warning, we are not holding back for the rest of this broadcast. If you have not seen Ghostbusters Afterlife and you don't want to have any of it ruined, please stop watching, because I'm not going to hold back. 3, 2, 1, warning over. And you know what? I was not disappointed. I felt that it was the perfect sequel. This, decades later, I feel he very much followed in his father's footsteps. I felt that he captured the essence of 1 and the silliness of 2 and really brought them together. It felt like an 80s film. It really, really, really felt like an 80s movie to me. I thought that the story was excellent. It didn't matter to me that it was Gozer again and the Keymaster and Gatekeeper again, because the thing is like it made sense. It didn't feel like they were like, oh, how do we do like with Star Trek, right? Star Trek, sometimes it's like the only thing we can do is Kirk and Spock, and we have to keep rehashing Kirk and Spock, or Spock and Spock. And so they kind of like are constantly like diluting that. This did not feel diluted. This made sense. Like Gozer was cast into this unknown, and Egon had gone off to try to stop it. And so the whole notion of the farm being a giant ghost trap, and the family going there, and and I just thought that the way Mackenzie, I can't think of her last name right now, but the way she played Spengler's granddaughter was perfect. And then I also felt that there were some really cool things in there. Like, I had made a comment at one point on Twitter that it made sense to me that Ray, who we see at the end, was Podcast's only subscriber. And people are like, well, that felt a little forced. And so for me, it was like, well, of course he was the only subscriber. That's how he kept tabs on what was happening in Sumerville, right? Sumerians. And it also made sense that he didn't know about Egon's death because Podcast hadn't finished that episode yet. So, and Podcast knew about it. I mean, it was obvious he knew about the crazy farm, the dirt farmer. So I just felt that it was beautifully shot. It was well acted. It was that you could tell they had fun making it.
Yeah.
And I just was like practically in tears, man. It was
awesome. I was gonna tell you that like I mean, there are movies that have moved me. Most of them would be more serious than this. I mean, I will say that I about broke out at least 3 times during this film in different parts.
Yeah, me too.
It really was emotionally like moving, but fun. And my observations are, I was worried about some respects of anytime they make a sequel like this. It's always like you said, it's they're either rehashing, or they're trying to make the big bad even bigger and badder, and it ends up being silly or just kind of goofy. So it was actually good that it was like revisiting the same thing, but in this new age. And I think it worked. Like even
I definitely think it worked.
Like the Hellhounds, like they looked like the same kind of like almost like
Effect.
practical
Yep.
effects of the original film, and it just works
Yep.
because it
Yeah.
feels
And
and Muncher, the ghost Muncher,
Muncher
looks
was great.
looks looks it's you could tell it was modern in some respects, but it also had like that 80s feel, like it was a
That
model.
80s Slimer feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I totally agree. And I also thought little things like J.K. Simmons as Ivo Shandor, who's only in the film for like a few seconds, like that's fine to me
Yeah.
because we were told all about Ivo Shandor and the fact that Ivo like didn't really degrade and came back from the life because he was sort of sustained a little bit by Gozer's power and all these things like that worked for me.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that they went deep on the tech I thought was cool. We saw a lot about the
Yes.
proton
Oh
packs.
my
We
gosh,
saw
that was amazing.
Ecto 1 now with this gunner seat. We saw the little, super nuclear powered, mobile ghost trap.
Yep.
We saw the PKE meter, the fact that she knew she was like solving the riddles of her grandfather. Like, dude, I just loved it.
Yeah.
And so to me, like if I could if I could talk to Jason Reitman, I would just say thanks, man. I mean,
Yeah.
super thanks, right? Like
Super thanks.
you gave us something we have waited a long time for, and you did it well. And even with the Ghostbusters coming in at the end, right,
Right.
which made sense to me because
Yep.
they were given a heads up what was going on. She called Ray. They were obviously paying attention to what's happening. They had to get out there. And with the post-credit scenes that kind of show Winston now is going to carry it forward, to me, it was like, yeah, that was cool. Like they would show up and Ray would be, I mean, Peter would be kind of a smart ass. And like, that is how it would work.
Right.
Right. And so to me, it wasn't even like, oh God, now they're bringing in the old guys. This is stupid. Because somebody said the movie is a perfect serving of fan service until it just takes a dramatic turn and becomes silly. I do not agree with that. I thought it was excellent.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
So
here's the thing about
super thanks.
Ghostbusters,
Super thanks.
and it was supposed to be silly in a very like 80s way, if that makes sense. And so
Well, yeah,
I felt like it was true to that, and
it
but
was true to that with
not
the
in
little
not in a
marshmallow
silly.
guys and podcasts being
Right.
silly and all the little
Honestly,
jokes and
the Marshmallow Guys was the only thing that I thought was kind of borderline, but it was fun. It was still fun. And the way that they wrapped it
yeah.
up with the Marshmallow Men being like in the car and Podcast had to fight him, and then like it turned into a
But
nice
think
like
about it this way. Okay,
thing.
hold on a minute. I want you to
Yeah,
think
yeah.
about it this way.
All right. All
I
right.
want you to think about it as an echo of the 1984 cross rip in Manhattan,
There you
right?
go.
The
All
fact
right.
that
Nope. No,
it,
you're right.
there was little Stay Puft Marshmallow Men
There's
because
layers here. Yeah.
that is the destroyer that Ray called forth when he accidentally thought of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, the one thing that he thought
Yep.
would bring no harm, right? And then he stepped on a church in their town and they had to roast him. So when Gozer was cast back into wherever the hell it went, I guess, it pulled that echo in. So when the activity started to be released, that's one of the things that came out. That's why also the cab driver was there. That's why the terror dogs are there, because all of that stuff came out in the cross rip and came back out in Somerville. So to me, at first I was like, okay, this is just like, could they not think of anything else? But then it made sense to me. Like it's like breadcrumbs from the cross rip coming out. So it worked for me.
The other thing that I wanted to call out here is I was they cast Paul Rudd as one of the primary. Well, I get not primary, but he's kind of a main character, and so I really thought the chemistry between him and Egon's daughter, the mother of our main action hero in the film, which is Egon's granddaughter, their chemistry as a couple I thought was really cool, and I wasn't even expecting that.
Yes.
But it really worked. And then you see
work.
You see it pay off in the same way that it did in the original film with the Hellhounds and that whole Keymaster Gatekeeper. But they didn't like spend too much time on that. And if they would have, it wouldn't have been the same as the original, because it's like the original movie, they spend so much time with that part of the plot this, it was necessary, but it was like they didn't spend too much time. They were just like, we all know that.
But it also was believable. Like these two people
has
met,
to happen, right? That they spent more time on kind of like the setup of like the 80s movie in the film and moving to the house, and that was all awesome.
Yeah, I'm totally agree with you, dude. So yeah, man. I mean, I was so super thanks to Jason Reitman and the whole cast and crew. And I know Ivan Reitman was consulting on this. And, you know, one of the things that I read, because there were always talk of sequels coming up over the years and years and years and years and years, is they always said they wouldn't do it until they had something they felt was really, really good and that really lived up to it. And my God, was it worth the wait.
Right.
Now,
well, they did a cool interview with Dan and Bill and Winston in the original Firehouse, and they had Paul and some of the other actors there on one of the morning talk shows a couple of weeks ago, and that's the question they always get is why now, and why did you say yes, and they, you know, they literally said that they've been asking them every year since 1984 or the you know the second one sequel, to make another, and this finally was like the right person in Jason and the right story to tell. So it is amazing what they pulled off.
Yeah, my final thoughts on this are that I thought they did real good service to Egon and for Harold Ramis as a writer, director, actor, and member of that family. I felt that they really did service to him. It was really honored him, and you know, I hope we get sequels, because certainly the post-credit scene with Winston sets that up. But I am totally down for more. I hope it's Jason. I hope that now it just becomes a new group of Ghostbusters and a new storyline. Like, I'm cool that we don't need to rehash any of this again, but I have faith that if some of it does get rehashed, like, there's going to be a good reason for that. And I'm also in no rush. I don't need a sequel in 2 years. I can wait 5, right? Or 10 or whatever it takes, but not 10. So let's go. I'm definitely ready for more. Or I would also be ready for like a series that's done really, really well on Amazon Prime, Netflix, Hulu,
I think that's the way
to
go.
I'm also for that.
I think that's the way to go. I don't think they can pull off this same thing again. Just like I was really not, you know, excited for the sequel, the original sequel, right? Like, but for the same reason. It's almost like you can't capture this lightning in a bottle, you know, much. So
no, I agree, and I'm down for whatever. I'm hungry for more. So you know, yeah. So super thanks for Ghostbusters Afterlife, folks. If you've seen it, let us know. We'd love to know what you think. We'd love to know what you thought. We'd love to know what you think they could have done better or different, or if there's any little things like me connecting, you know, the minis to the cross rip or podcast to Ray. You know, let me know. I love things like that. So let us know what you think. Let us know what you think.
All right. Thanking all.
God, I'm too tired to be doing this right now.
So we're doing it. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for watching all week long.
Yeah.
My name's Ryan. This is Graham.
Hey, thanks for you, buddy. I appreciate.
Can we do the virtual high five?
Yeah, let's do it. 1, 2, 3, go.
Bam. All right, we did it, folks.
Okay, we tried to do it.
It's been an awesome week. We'll see you all soon. We'll see you next Friday for another episode of Weeks In. Thanks for watching.
Super thanks, freeze frame.
All right, let's do it.